Oh, no, not Netflix, on Disney Plus about Hurricane Katrina. And it was appalling what the people in New Orleans went through. It was appalling about the monsterization. What's the word? Like demonization of the Black community in the area. They were calling them looting when they really had nothing to eat. And I'm going to play the clip so y'all can see what went down, because the 20-year anniversary is actually tonight at midnight. So we definitely need to play this. Here we go.
2005 at 10:30 p.m. Hurricane Katrina made its first landfall in southeast Florida as a Category 1 storm.
Many Miami area residents feel they were sucker punched by Katrina.
Moving into the warm waters of the Gulf, Katrina rapidly intensified.
That's perfect conditions for a hurricane to strengthen.
On August 27th, as Katrina closed in on New Orleans, Mayor Ray Nagin first issued a voluntary evacuation warning.
This is a once in probably a lifetime event.
Upgrading that warning to the city's first ever mandatory evacuation order the next day. Just 19 hours before landfall. Hurricane Katrina, now a Category 5 storm with maximum sustained winds of 175 miles per hour. For those with nowhere to go and no way to get out, the Superdome was opened as a refuge of last resort. Roughly 15,000 people poured in. At 6:10 a.m. on August 29th, Hurricane Katrina made landfall near Bearis, Louisiana, as a weakened Category 3. A last-minute shift sparing New Orleans from a direct hit. Still, power was knocked out almost immediately. The wind roaring. By the evening news, reports that the Big Easy seemed to have averted a doomsday scenario.
By late this evening, onlookers were back in the French Quarter. In the words of one, the fact that the damage wasn't worse is pure New Orleans luck.
But out of sight of the cameras stationed at the Superdome and in the French Quarter, a horrific tragedy already unfolding. Before, after, and during landfall, levees built to hold back storm surge failed catastrophically. Multiple breaches sending water almost 20 feet high, surging into the lower Ninth Ward and several other neighborhoods. Later reports finding those levee failures were due largely to engineering errors. On August 30th, the severity of the disaster seen widely for the first time. Heartbreaking images of people climbing onto roofs to escape the rising water, rescued by firefighters and volunteers on boats, and the Coast Guard in helicopters. Others wading through the dark, murky waters. The rescue operation would take days. Images of desperation, people waving for help from rooftops, now burned into the American psyche. Many of them poor, many of them Black. Those rescued brought to an already crowded Superdome, once a refuge, now a hellscape.
What was it like in the Superdome, and why did you leave?
It was horrible. We couldn't sleep at night. Sanitary was nasty. The food was horrible. You understand what I'm saying? My children, it's a nightmare. We done lost property, done lost everything. But you think these people care? The mayor don't even care.
Others waited on highways and bridges to be evacuated in the relentless sun's scorching heat. Thousands more sought shelter at the convention center down the road.
No food, no water, no nothing. Whatever we had, we've been taking it.
This is a shirt I'm making for my baby because I don't have no clothes. And he all dirty. He's just too much.
I got to tell you from the bottom of my heart how sad I feel for those people. The federal government just learned about those people today. And I've got to tell you, we are moving heaven and earth.
As desperation grew, people breaking into stores, grabbing food, clean clothes, and shoes. Amid reports of lawlessness, the governor mobilizing the National Guard.
I have one message for these hoodlums. These troops know how to shoot and kill, and they are more than willing to do so if necessary, and I expect they will.
On September 1st, the National Guard relief mission arrived with food. On September 3rd, 5 days after Hurricane Katrina made landfall, buses and then planes ramped up evacuation efforts, dispersing survivors to cities all across the country. It would take weeks and months to understand Hurricane Katrina's deadly toll. More than 1,300 people killed, many of them the elderly or the sick. In all, more than 1 million people were displaced from the Gulf Coast. Those who came back, finding what they had worked for their entire lives, destroyed.
So for me, it was a little triggering because we've been hearing this year about Black fatigue and Black culture and degeneracy. And the fact that they vilified these people when they were just trying to survive, it was awful. Gray, as my fellow Floridian, you went through a hurricane last year. What's your thoughts on everything that we've been through with hurricanes and what the people went through with Katrina?
Yeah, living in Florida, you get accustomed to hurricanes, either evacuating or hunkering down. A lot of people do drinking parties. Yeah, in this scenario, they did tell the National Guard to go down there and pull guns on these people because the helicopter guys in the helicopter said they were being shot at, but it was really people on roofs trying to be saved, firing shotguns in the
Yeah.
air to try to get assistance. But New Orleans is a predominantly Black place, and then you have poor people who couldn't evacuate. So then you're sending people there. Of course, they're going to say that the crime, and I don't know if you will play the clip, but it's about when they were saying that the Black people were looting, and then the White people were surviving. Are you playing that?
You got that clip? Go find it. Go find it because I want to play before I go to me and Enzo. I do got one more clip. It's not that long. It's about what they were doing to the people left. And another thing that I don't know if y'all know this, they made even people in safe areas evacuate and kick them out their homes, and they had nowhere to go. So y'all have to understand they had no food, no water. And now that I understand, I was only 15 at the time, but this is how this country vilifies certain people. And again, I'm not one of those people that scream racism with everything, but it's really horrible. Let me play the clip about the mandatory evacuation and what they did.
Today in New Orleans, they got a lot tougher on the holdouts.
Police department, everyone home!
Not only the flooded areas, but New Orleans' driest and wealthiest neighborhoods, too.
Police department!
The police and National Guard going street by street, house to house.
We need to make sure, too, that whenever we knock on the doors, people refuse to leave. We need to make note, call it in.
They say there are no orders to use force, just strong persuasion, sometimes entering open houses with guns drawn, and instructions to disarm anyone inside.
You said guns will be taken? No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
That happened today in this wealthy neighborhood where homeowners had armed themselves to protect their mansions. Residents were handcuffed on the ground. In the end, police took their weapons but let them stay in their homes.
They were a little bit threatened because our weapons were bigger than their weapons.
For many of the police and guard troops, it is an uncomfortable job to do this in an American city.
Yeah, you never expect to do this in your own country.
Chris Montgomery says he'd rather be in Iraq than patrolling American neighborhoods.
Walking up and down these streets, you don't want to think about the stuff that you're gonna have to do. Somebody pops around the corner.
Be shooting in America.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want you in here. I don't want you in here, period.
But let me tell y'all, there was a double standard. It's funny they let dumb people stay. The clips I saw, they made those poor old Black people leave their homes. And again, I'm not trying to make it about that, but they made them leave. And that was, and they had nowhere to go because the Superdome was full at that point. So they had to walk miles to the convention center, and there was no food, no water, no nothing. Do you have the clip, Gray, or?
Well, I got a better clip. I couldn't find that clip, but this is a clip where, they were attacking Black people unprovoked for no reason. Well, basically accusing them of looting.
How do you protect yourself?
You had to do what you had to do. If you had to shoot somebody, you had to shoot somebody.
No, we had
that's simple.
We had looters.
It was great.
It was great.
It was like pheasant season in South Dakota.
Right on.
If it moved, you shot it.
That's not a pheasant. We're not in South Dakota. What's wrong with this picture?
For a little
we walked the streets. We had sidearms. You had no choice. It was that bad. She said, Well, he said just put them on the side because they knew they were doing wrong, you know. He said just put them to the side. That's all we could do.
I am no longer a Yankee. No. I earned my wings. He understands the N-word now. I learned my wings.
All the noodles and stuff.
What looters? We had 3. They left here, one without a T-shirt, and the other's full of buckshot. And we have a T-shirt to prove it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
We shot him. What happens in other parts of this state, I don't know about. But over We don't here, care about. This But is in this our neighborhood, we take care of our own. We sent them back into wherever they came from and said, don't come back. Bye, guys. Have a nice weekend. You know what? Algiers Point is not a pussy community.
Donnell told me the men on the video weren't the people who tried to kill him, but he was disturbed nonetheless.
When I see that, that's pretty disturbing because it's like that's the kind of, that's the kind of mindset they was in, like if it was some kind of race war or something, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly how many people were shot by vigilantes is still unclear, but eyewitnesses say 11 people, all black males, were shot in and around Algiers Point after the storm. More than 3 years later, nobody has been prosecuted for any of these crimes, and aside from victims like Donnell Harrington, nobody seems to care.
You never think that'll happen to your wildest imagination,
But yeah, that's what happened when black people were trying to go to the ferry because they couldn't go to the dome or they couldn't go to the convention center. So they had to walk through this white neighborhood to kind of evacuate out because they weren't bringing the buses there. So these people shot them, saying that they were protecting their homes from looters.
Enzo, you're from Florida. That's always why I'm tapping you. What's your thoughts? You were also a little boy at the time. What do you think about learning about? Did you learn about this for the first time? Or have you heard these allegations before about?
No, I've known about this for years, about what happened in Hurricane Katrina. It was absolutely disgusting what the people of New Orleans did. Just watching that video just made me honestly sick to my stomach. They ain't vigilantes. They're straight up murderers. You're racist, bigot murderers. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna call a spade a spade. That's exactly what that was. I understand the mindset of survival of the fittest when it comes down to hurricanes, power outages, and everything like that. But what happened in New Orleans in 2005 was absolutely disgusting. From the federal government to the racist people down there. I mean, the most notorious clip from Hurricane Katrina is Kanye West, right? George Bush doesn't care about black people. It was all there. It was all there on TV. Everybody saw exactly what was going on. There's no disputing that. There was everything that you can think of, worst case scenario in an apocalypse situation was happening there. And them barging into homes like that and taking away people's guns so nobody can do anything about what was going on. I'm talking about the Gestapo kicking in doors, taking away people's rights. Like, you're pretty much in an area where you can't do anything to save yourself. People should be allowed to protect themselves. And the government absolutely should have been mobilized before that because they knew the problems with the levees. They knew that they were not going to hold if they got hit by a Category 3 or higher storm. The National Guard should have been deployed there days in advance, getting people out of that area. I don't understand, like, why any of this happens, like why we let things like this happen so we have precautions later on. Like, it should have been there in the first place. And then the what the governor said, I thought it was completely calling everyone hoodlums, like calling them hoodlums, saying that the National Guard knows how to shoot better. You put these people in the position and you want to call them hoodlums for protecting themselves? Like, come on now. Completely disingenuous and just racist in my eyes. See it like that.
Facts. Mia, what's your thoughts?
I think that
I think everything that happened in Katrina was absolutely racially motivated. I mean, Kanye West said it back then during Katrina. He said it's because they were black. He was on national television when he said it. He said it's because they were black. Most people don't know this, but over 50 countries offered aid, tried to aid. I mean, bodies, equipment, pumping. I think the Netherlands were sent, they offered, Denmark, all of them offered to send equipment to literally pump out the water, bodies, food, medicine, you name it. Over 50 countries volunteered. Bush said no. I repeat, 50 countries offered aid, including massive equipment that they were going to pay for themselves to come here, to pump out the water, for infrastructure and all of that stuff, everything. And Bush said no. He turned it down. And if that doesn't tell you that's not racially motivated, there's nothing that is. That was 100% racially motivated. And I'm of the mindset, I mean, we have known for 2 generations that the Army Corps of Engineers put up faulty levees and that they were going to not withstand. 2 generations. We're talking over 40 years they've known. They never put in a penny. You know why? Because the 8th and 9th ward were all poor black. And then what do you know happened now? Private equity went in after that and bought up a lot of those places, and now they're Airbnbs. So like we've gone full circle. They needed a reason to get the black people out of the area, to gentrify that area. So that's why they never fixed it. And now the 8th and 9th wards are private equity owned properties. I mean, everybody should watch the original documentary from Spike Lee. It's called When the Levees Broke, a Requiem in 4 parts. It's very long. I cried. My daughter cried. We just watched this about 6 months ago.
Where you find it?
So it's on Netflix. I cried. It is so good. I mean, I know there's like a new documentary out, but this was made in 2006 from Spike Lee, and I've never cried as hard as I cried. I mean, just the bodies, just the babies floating down the water. They did not care. They had no idea.
A story that this woman said that she saw a baby in the water, and she asked the Coast Guard, could she take it? And they're like, for what? It was gone. She was like, I just want to preserve the little body. They didn't care.
No, they didn't care. And it was 90% of the people that died were all black, and they did not care. They left them there to die and to starve. And then when everybody got desperate enough, they treated us like animals and like dogs, even though that is the situation that they created. But they're still going to treat us like dogs. And like, it blew my mind when I researched that over 50 countries offered help, aid, bodies, doctors, medicine, pumping equipment. I mean, literally, like I said, the Netherlands wanted to ship over pumping equipment to pump out the fucking water to help us. And Bush said no. That blew my mind. I almost cried when I realized all of those people could have gotten help. All of those people could have gotten the help that they needed. But our government said no, because that's what they wanted. They wanted all of those black Americans dead. They wanted to grab all that land, which they did, and they wanted to gentrify it because it's gentrified now. Those people never went back.
I was actually watching it for this right before we started, and Bush, he was on vacation for 48 hours before he even went and did something. So it was pretty crazy, like watching it and like seeing everything that happened. Like it's pretty crazy. So yeah, being in Florida, I hope it never happens here.
Me too, especially you, because you.
I know I would be screwed. I would be stuck.
You lucked out last time. I have to come row a boat and come save you, Gray. I don't know, maybe not after tonight. But anyways, Gray, Skeptic done left you. Listen.